Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. On the day I'm recording this, it is Thanksgiving Day. Actually, technically, it's a little bit after Thanksgiving Day, but regardless, let's just consider it today still Thanksgiving Day, even though it's literally midnight as I'm recording this. But that's not the point here. Welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of May 6th, 1993. May 7th, 1993, I should say. So, we've got 4 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead. I've already wasted most of your time with that opening. Let's just jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that was the Bruce Lee biopic, Dragon: The Bruce Lee Story. So that's Jason Scott Lee playing Bruce Lee. Jason Scott Lee, of course, is not related to Bruce Lee, but you may be familiar with him from his movies that he was in. He was Mowgli in the '94 Jungle Book movie, but most of you will recognize his voice as David from the Lilo and Stitch movies. Also of note here, this movie came out a month after Brandon Lee's death on the set of The Crow, where he accidentally got killed on set. And in fact, when this movie had its premiere, it was kind of bittersweet because of the fact that it happened a month after the death. But Bruce's real-life wife, Linda Lee Cadwell, actually showed up at the premiere for this because, according to her, it was a tribute to our family's life, and for the reason I thought I should be there. I felt that this was the film was a tribute to Bruce as a father and to Brandon as a son, which you could definitely see in in that trailer. And the movie itself is actually pretty good. I think the movie does a pretty good job of really going into a good dive into Bruce Lee's life as both this action hero and also the man behind the scenes. Jason Scott Lee, I thought, was very good in the movie. I also really like Lauren Holly playing Linda Lee. Yeah, Linda Lee. What was I going to say? But yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job of making this movie feel almost accurate, kind of accurate to how Bruce's story kind of took place, while also kind of having these fantastical elements to it. I don't really know too much about the actual story behind the scenes, and I know that some things in here will obviously be dramatized more to kind of emphasize an entertainment aspect of this. And I thought they did a pretty good job with it mostly. I thought they did a pretty good job with the casting overall. I thought they did a pretty good job with the writing overall. I thought it was a very solid film. It's a very solid biopic that does a pretty good job of delving into the story a lot about Bruce Lee's career and his legacy. And I just thought overall it was a pretty good movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, but the one time I did see it, I really enjoyed it for what it was. So I thought it was a pretty good movie. I don't know how a lot of other people thought about it. I think it got pretty good reviews and did pretty well at the box office, but at least for me, I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Not one of the best biopics ever, but I thought it did a pretty good job of delivering what the intent was supposed to be. I think it's a pretty good movie. Dragon: The Bruce Lee Story. So that was that, and let's move on to the next movie. And the next movie is easily, I think, the best new release of the weekend. It's Ivan Reitman's political comedy Dave, starring Kevin Costner, starring Kevin Kline. So this was actually written in 1988 when Gary Ross was working for the Michael Dukakis campaign, and this was actually supposed to be a Disney production too, but the producer of the film, Lauren Schuler Donner, actually approved the film, but Disney did not do it because they refused to release it because conservatives such as Ronald Reagan or George H.W. Bush was holding the presidency at the time. So they basically went to Warner Brothers with it, and originally they wanted Richard Donner to direct it, but he decided against continuing with the project, and they had to wait a couple of years for Schuler Donner to be released from a contract from Disney and to get director Ivan Reitman to do it. And not only that, they had some very interesting casting choices here. I think one executive at Warner Brothers said they wanted to cast Arnold Schwarzenegger for the role, which at the time probably didn't make a whole lot of sense, but considering that Schwarzenegger was a politician for several years as the governor of California, many years after this movie came out, that probably would have even then I don't think that still would have worked. Michael Keaton was briefly cast in there. They were looking at Warren Beatty and Kevin Costner, so I almost was right on that one. But then, of course, Kevin Kline went on to do it, and of course, Kevin Kline was great in A Fish Called Wanda. He's one of those great actors who usually will never turn out a bad performance. And he was pretty good in here. And he's really fantastic in this movie, I should say. not just pretty good, he's really fantastic. I think he was really perfect for this role, and the movie just overall is absolutely brilliant. It's a really, really funny movie. And for Ivan Reitman, who was mostly known for these kind of simplistic films like Kindergarten Cop and Twins, and then he has something like and Ghostbusters. These kind of it's a mix of genre and more simplistic films. It was interesting to see that he was able to make something that was very sharp, very satirical, and very funny, mostly benefiting from that great script by Ross and also a great cast that includes Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver in here. Just a great cast overall in this movie, man. Frank Langella, Kevin Dunn, Ving Rhames, Ben Kingsley, Charles Grodin, Laura Linney, Stephen Root, Bonnie Hunt, cameos from a lot of notable media personalities and politicians in here. So there clearly is a lot of love for this movie in the world of politics, and it's a movie that really works. It's a fun crowd pleaser. Like I said, it's a movie that's very smart, very satirical, and very funny, benefiting from a strong cast. And it's just very funny too. It's a really funny movie, a well-made film. It's just a great, great time all around. It's a movie that you can watch it's anytime it's on TV, and you'll never get bored by it. It's just such an amazing movie. I really love this movie a lot. If you haven't seen it, if you're looking for some of Ivan Reitman's best work, Dave is definitely one of his best works, bar none. Definitely check it out if you if you haven't gotten a chance to see it. You will not be disappointed by it. Anyway, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Kenneth Branagh's star-studded adaptation of William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. You know, we talked about Kenneth Branagh's work before. We talked about Henry V. We talked about Dead Again. We talked about Peter's Friends. Here's another one that I think is one that doesn't get a whole lot of attention, but really it's actually pretty good. I actually was really impressed when I saw this movie the first time a couple of years ago. Just a great cast overall. You got Branagh once again working with Emma Thompson. Michael Keaton's in here. Keanu Reeves. I already said Emma Thompson. Denzel Washington. Kate Beckinsale in actually her first film role. Just a good cast overall. It's a fun little romantic comedy. It's a nice little spin on the William Shakespeare story. And, you know, everybody criticized Keanu Reeves for his performance in this, which, yeah, it is kind of a little bit it is kind of noticeable, especially with this and Bram Stoker's Dracula, especially since at that time he was just known for his work with the Bill and Ted movies. But I've seen much worse. It's actually not as bad as I think people gave it credit for, but it's a lot better than I think a lot of people gave it credit for. It's much better than you think it is. It's probably the weakest performance of this cast overall, but I don't know. I thought it was all right. The movie itself is really fun. It's a solid little movie, a well-made film, a nice adaptation of the story. It's another underrated film for Branagh. I think it's a movie that's really well done. If you haven't seen Much Ado About Nothing, definitely go in there and give it another shot, because honestly, you might be surprised on how enjoyable it actually is. With that said, let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is American Heart. Okay, this is another one of those ones that didn't have a trailer to it, so I'll just tell you the rundown here. You've got Jeff Bridges playing a person who's been released from prison in Seattle after serving a 5-year sentence for robbing a jewelry store, and his 14-year-old son, played by Edward Furlong, then of Terminator 2 fame, whose mother has been dead for many years, is in desperate need of a father, needs him at the prison, but he is rebuffed, and Nick persists on tagging along with him. The two take up residence at a cheap hotel. Over time, the two settle into a push-and-pull relationship. Jack tries to resist the pleas of his ex-partner, Randy, to return to robbery and find a job downtown as a window washer. He also makes a phone call to a woman named Charlotte, and they meet up at a hotel. It's revealed that Charlotte has been writing letters to Jack while he was incarcerated, and through the prison's publication, American Heart, where prisoners can solicit correspondence, Jack talks about moving to Alaska for a new life, but it's not sure if he wants to bring Nick with him. Just as it appears Nick will be joining his father, he feels increasingly drawn to the life of crime his father is trying to avoid. You can probably tell I read that off Wikipedia because I really knew nothing about this movie, and obviously I've never seen it before, so I can't really go into it too much. But, I mean, the little bit I saw here actually doesn't look too bad. It looks like a decent little film. It's one that doesn't get a whole lot of attention. It's one that I've honestly never even heard of a whole lot of. But like I said, it doesn't look like a bad movie. It looks like a movie that could actually be pretty decent, and it would be interesting to see what Furlong could do outside of just coming off of Terminator 2. And but yeah, like I said, it actually looks like it could be something that could be pretty decent. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll definitely check it out, but it's not in my current plans right now. But acknowledging that it came out this particular weekend, so yeah, American Heart. And so, on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll jump into May 14th with 3 new movies, including Mario Van Peebles' Posse, Neil Simon's Lost in Yonkers, and also Excessive Force. So, 3 movies to look at next time. We'll do that on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, as always, take care.